What if I told you that the most powerful weapon ever created wasn't gunpowder, wasn't a tank, wasn't an aircraft carrier, wasn't even a nuclear bomb? What if the most powerful weapon in human history was information? Not information itself, control of information, the ability to shape what people believe, the ability to influence what people fear, the ability to determine what millions of people think is true. Because throughout history, empires have risen and fallen not merely through military power, but through the power of stories, narratives, rumors, propaganda, psychological warfare, and long before Facebook, long before television, long before radio, long before newspapers, the information war had already begun. Tonight, we uncover a hidden battlefield that stretches from ancient Egypt to modern social media, a battlefield where kings, emperors, governments, and entire civilizations fought for control of the human mind. This is the story of the information wars before the internet. The First Information War. Most people imagine ancient history as simple, primitive, unsophisticated, but human nature has never changed. The desire to persuade, the desire to influence, the desire to control. Those things are as old as civilization itself. In ancient Egypt, pharaohs carved their victories into stone monuments. Massive inscriptions covered temple walls. The message was always clear. The king was victorious. The king was powerful. The king was favored by the gods. Some of these great victories were heavily exaggerated. Sometimes battles that were essentially draws became glorious triumphs in official records. Why? Because perception mattered. A ruler who appeared strong remained powerful. A ruler who appeared weak invited rebellion. The information war had already begun. Thousands of years before the internet, thousands of years before television, leaders already understood something profound. People do not respond to reality alone. They respond to what they believe reality to be. The Battle of Kadesh. One of the earliest examples comes from ancient Egypt. Around 1274 BC, Pharaoh Ramesses II fought the Hittites at Kadesh. Afterward, monuments throughout Egypt proclaimed a stunning Egyptian victory. The pharaoh appeared heroic, invincible, chosen by the gods. Yet historians now believe the battle ended in something much closer to a stalemate. The military reality and the public narrative were not exactly the same. Sound familiar? The more things change, the more they stay the same. Rome's secret weapon. Fast forward centuries, the Roman Republic is expanding. A brilliant general named Julius Caesar marches into Gaul. Most people remember Caesar as a military commander, but Caesar understood something equally important: public opinion. While conquering territories, Caesar wrote detailed accounts of his campaigns. These writings spread throughout Rome. Citizens consumed them eagerly. Every victory enhanced his reputation. Every success increased his political influence. Every story strengthened his image. Caesar wasn't merely fighting battles, he was shaping narratives. He was controlling how those battles would be remembered, and history would reward him for it, because those writings survive to this day. The winner often writes history, and history often becomes the most powerful form of information warfare. Imagine being an ordinary Roman citizen. You cannot verify what happened hundreds of miles away. You cannot watch footage. You cannot read multiple sources. You know only what reaches you. And whoever controls that information controls your perception of reality. That principle has shaped every civilization in history, and it still does. The power of rumors. Long before newspapers, rumors traveled faster than facts. A rumor requires no evidence, no verification, no investigation, only belief. A whisper becomes a story. A story becomes accepted truth. And accepted truth becomes reality for those who hear it. Entire kingdoms have fallen because of rumors. Wars have started because of rumors. Financial panics have erupted because of rumors. Lives have been destroyed because of rumors. Jesus himself warned, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled." Notice that Christ specifically mentions rumors, not merely wars, rumors, because fear often spreads faster than facts. And throughout history, those who understood that reality gained tremendous power. The battlefield wasn't always land. Sometimes the battlefield was the human mind, the machine that changed everything. For thousands of years, information moved slowly. A king controlled his scribes. A ruler controlled his messengers. A government controlled the flow of news. If information was power, the powerful controlled information, then everything changed. In the mid-1400s, a German inventor named Johannes Gutenberg introduced a machine that would alter human history forever: the printing press. At first, few understood its significance. It looked like a simple machine: wood, metal, ink, paper. But hidden inside that machine was a revolution. For the first time in history, ideas could spread faster than governments could suppress them. The monopoly on information was beginning to crack. The Bible and the Revolution. Before the printing press, books were copied by hand. A single Bible might take months or years to produce. Few people owned one. Most people never saw one. Knowledge remained concentrated among the powerful. Then the printing press arrived. Suddenly, books multiplied, information exploded, and eventually, the Bible itself spread into the hands of ordinary people. For the first time, millions could read for themselves. Not merely hear what others claimed it said, but read it, study it, question it, compare it. The information war had entered a new age. No longer would information flow only from the top down. Now ideas could move in every direction. The Reformation. By the early 1500s, Europe was about to experience an earthquake. Not a physical earthquake, an information earthquake. A German monk named Martin Luther challenged powerful religious authorities. His arguments spread rapidly, not because armies carried them, not because governments endorsed them, because printers copied them. Again, and again, and again, millions encountered ideas that previous generations would never have seen. Suddenly, information itself became a force capable of shaking empires. The battlefield was changing, the weapon was changing, but the war remained the same. Who controls the narrative? Who controls the story? Who controls what people believe? Imagine being alive during that period. For generations, you've been told one thing. Then suddenly new information arrives, new evidence, new arguments, new interpretations. Everything you assumed was certain becomes uncertain. Everything feels unstable. Everything feels contested. Sound familiar? Because every information revolution creates the same effect: confusion, conflict, division, debate, the struggle between competing versions of reality. The Age of Revolution. Then came the Age of Revolutions: the American Revolution, the French Revolution. Political pamphlets flooded cities, arguments spread through taverns, ideas traveled faster than armies, words became weapons, narratives became ammunition. Governments quickly realized a dangerous truth: you can imprison a man, you can destroy an army, but ideas are much harder to stop. Once released, they spread. And once people believe an idea, history changes. Military leaders eventually discovered something remarkable. Winning a battle does not always win a war. Sometimes victory depends upon perception. Morale, public support, belief. A discouraged population becomes weak, a confident population becomes strong. Therefore, influencing people becomes as important as defeating enemies. Information itself had become a strategic weapon, and the 20th century would take that lesson to an entirely new level. In World War I, then came the Great War, the First World War, a conflict unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. Millions dead, entire nations devastated, industrialized warfare on a massive scale. But another war was being fought simultaneously, a war for public opinion. Governments produced posters, newspapers, films, patriotic campaigns, messages carefully designed to shape public perception. The goal wasn't merely to defeat enemy soldiers. The goal was to influence entire populations. Fear, hope, patriotism, sacrifice. Every emotion became part of the battlefield, and governments learned valuable lessons. Lessons they would use again. When propaganda became science, World War I ended, but governments learned something dangerous. Information could move nations. A slogan could inspire millions. A newspaper headline could alter public opinion. A carefully crafted message could influence behavior on a massive scale. And once that lesson was learned, it could never be forgotten. The next war would prove just how powerful information could become. The rise of modern propaganda. Between the world wars, governments began studying psychology, advertising, persuasion, mass communication. They wanted to understand a simple question: how do you influence large populations? How do you shape public opinion? How do you make millions of people think, feel, and act in predictable ways? The answers would reshape the 20th century, because propaganda was no longer simply posters and slogans. It was becoming a science. a science of influence, a science of persuasion, a science of the human mind. And some of the smartest people in the world were working on it. World War II. Then came World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history. And once again, information became a battlefield. Every major power produced propaganda. Every nation sought to motivate its citizens. Every side attempted to weaken enemy morale. Radio broadcasts crossed borders, movies carried messages, newspapers shaped narratives. Governments understood something profound. Winning hearts and minds mattered. The battlefield existed in factories, in homes, in schools, in movie theaters, in newspapers. Every citizen became part of the war effort, not just through labor, but through belief. Imagine waking up each morning during wartime. Every headline influences your understanding of the conflict. Every broadcast shapes your perception. Every speech affects morale. The average citizen cannot see the battlefield, cannot verify distant events, cannot investigate every claim. They must trust the information reaching them. And whoever controls that information holds tremendous power. The Cold War of Ideas. Then World War II ended, but peace never truly arrived. Instead, a new conflict emerged. The Cold War. Unlike previous wars, this one wasn't primarily fought with armies. It was fought with ideas. Two competing visions of the future, two competing systems, two competing narratives. The Soviet Union and the United States spent decades competing not only for territory and influence, but for belief. Radio broadcasts targeted foreign populations. Media campaigns crossed borders. Psychological operations became standard strategy. Information had become a weapon every bit as important as tanks or missiles. Perhaps more important, because a bomb can destroy a building. An idea can transform a civilization. The invisible battlefield. What made the Cold War unique was its invisibility. Many battles occurred without gunfire, without explosions, without soldiers. The objective was influence, perception, belief, public opinion. Entire agencies were dedicated to understanding how information shaped society, how narratives spread, how populations responded, how opinions formed. Because whoever influenced public perception often influenced everything else. The battlefield was no longer geographic. The battlefield was psychological. The television revolution. Then another technology arrived. Television. For the first time in history, information entered homes instantly. Leaders appeared directly in living rooms, wars appeared on screens, events unfolded before audiences in real time. The power of visual storytelling transformed society. People no longer merely heard about events, they watched them. And television became one of the most influential technologies ever created. Because images can move emotions faster than facts, stories can spread faster than statistics, and narratives often shape memory more than reality itself. The lesson history teaches. Looking back across thousands of years, a pattern emerges. Ancient kings understood it. Roman emperors understood it. Revolutionaries understood it. Governments understood it. Military strategists understood it. Information matters. Stories matter. Narratives matter. Because human beings act according to what they believe. And those beliefs are often shaped by the information they receive. The tools changed. Stone tablets became scrolls. Scrolls became books. Books became newspapers. Newspapers became radio. Radio became television. But the struggle remained the same. The struggle for influence. The struggle for attention. The struggle for belief. The internet changes everything. Then something happened that changed the rules forever. The internet arrived. For the first time in history, billions of people gained the ability to communicate instantly. Information no longer flowed through a handful of gatekeepers. Everyone could become a publisher. Everyone could become a broadcaster. Everyone could influence others. The barriers collapsed. The speed became unimaginable. The scale became global. The information war entered a new age, and unlike previous generations, we now live inside it every single day. The algorithm age. The internet changed everything. For the first time in history, information moved at the speed of light. No printing press, no radio tower, no television station, no editor, no publisher. Just a screen, a keyboard, and billions of connected minds. At first, it felt like freedom. Information was everywhere. Knowledge was everywhere. Anyone could speak, anyone could publish, anyone could be heard. It seemed like the ultimate victory against information control. But something unexpected happened. The gatekeepers didn't disappear. They evolved. Because eventually, information became too large, too fast, too overwhelming. and humans needed help sorting it. That's when algorithms entered the story. The new editors. An algorithm doesn't look like a king. It doesn't wear a crown. It doesn't give speeches. It doesn't issue decrees. Yet every day, it decides what millions of people see, what they don't see, what trends, what disappears, what gets amplified, and what gets buried. Most people believe they are choosing information. Often, information is choosing them. The algorithm studies behavior, what you click, what you watch, what you share, what makes you angry, what makes you laugh, what keeps you staring at a screen, and then it gives you more and more and more. The goal is simple: attention. Because in the digital age, attention has become one of the most valuable resources on Earth. The battle for attention. Oil built empires, gold built empires, land built empires. Today, attention builds empires. Entire industries compete for it. News organizations compete for it. Social media platforms compete for it. Corporations compete for it. Political movements compete for it. Influencers compete for it. Everyone wants your attention because whoever captures attention often shapes perception, and perception shapes reality. Think about the average day. You wake up, you check your phone, messages, notifications, headlines, videos, posts, comments, arguments, predictions, outrage, fear, hope, excitement, all before breakfast. Every hour, every day, every year, never stopping, never slowing down, and many people feel overwhelmed without understanding why. The AI revolution. Then artificial intelligence arrived, not merely as a tool, as a force multiplier, a machine capable of creating information at unprecedented speed. Writing, images, video, audio, analysis, predictions. The amount of information being produced is now growing faster than humans can process it. And this raises a profound question. How do you know what is true? How do you verify reality? How do you separate fact from fiction, truth from manipulation, signal from noise? Those questions may become some of the most important questions of the 21st century, because the future information war may not be fought with newspapers or television or even social media. They may be fought with artificial intelligence. The Bible's warning, long before algorithms, long before computers, long before the internet, the Bible repeatedly warned about deception. Jesus said, Matthew 24:4 KJV, "And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you." Notice something. The first warning Jesus gives concerning the last days is not war, not famine, not earthquakes, deception. Again and again, Scripture returns to the same theme. False prophets, false teachers, false signs, false wonders, false Christs. Why? Because deception has always been one of the enemy's greatest weapons, and every generation must learn discernment. In fact, the first information war in human history happened in a garden. Genesis 3:1, KJV, "Yea, hath God said?" That question changed everything. The serpent did not begin with violence. He began with information, or rather, a distortion of information, a challenge to truth, a manipulation of belief. The first battlefield wasn't physical, it was mental. The first casualty wasn't a city, it was trust. The first weapon wasn't a sword, it was deception. And ever since that moment, humanity has been fighting variations of the same battle. The final lesson. From ancient Egypt to Rome to the printing press, to world wars, to television, to the internet, to artificial intelligence, the technology changed. Human nature did not. People still seek truth, people still seek meaning, people still seek certainty, and there will always be those attempting to shape what others believe. That is why critical thinking matters. That is why evidence matters. That is why wisdom matters. That is why truth matters. Because a person who cannot think critically becomes vulnerable, not only to misinformation, but to manipulation. Perhaps the greatest lesson of his this: the battle for information never truly ends. Every generation faces it, every civilization faces it, every individual faces it. The question is not whether someone is trying to influence what you believe. The question is whether you are willing to examine what you believe and why. Luke 8:17, "For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad." One day, every hidden thing will be revealed, every deception exposed, every lie uncovered, every secret brought into the light, not because technology discovers it, but because God sees it. And in a world filled with competing narratives, perhaps the greatest act of rebellion is the pursuit of truth. Question carefully, research diligently, think critically, stay humble, follow evidence wherever it leads, and never surrender your ability to ask questions. Because history teaches a powerful lesson. The people who control information may influence the world, but the people who seek truth can change it. This is Rocky Smith. Rock Solid TV. Uncensored history, unfiltered truth, unshakable faith. Stay rock solid.